Hi, Tim. Nice to be with you today. And our cover slide is an action shot from the field. And a lot of people are really interested to see these XRF guns in work. And that's our Executive Director, Oliver Kitty, on a core rack with the XRF or the Vanta set up on its little stand. And that's where we can get confidence that the sulfides that we're actually drilling do contain the pentlandite and chalcopyrite, which is the lifeblood of the company. About Legend Mining, as you said, a market cap of 350 million. Our shares have been bouncing around between 13 cents and 16 cents. We've got a series of options which are deep in the money. That's a source of a further $13 million of funding over the next 24 months. Our cash and receivables at the 30th of September was $31.5 million, which includes the Jindal receivable. And Legend spends $11 to $12 million a year on current expenditure. So when we talk about the fact that we're well funded for the foreseeable future, that's what those numbers translate to. We're quite unique in the junior space, and I still regard us as a junior even with that market cap, in that we really only have one project. It's the Rockford Project in the Fraser Range, home of the Sirius discovery, which set the world alight in 2012. Our top 20 shareholders hold 65% of the company. So even though we're many shares on issue, very tightly held. Creasy Group needs no introduction to most of your listeners. IGO is the nickel miner in the district. Bailey Group, a high net worth from Perth, and Wilson Group is me. I've spent more than 6 years of my net salary from Legend just buying shares on market to acquire that stake. And the remainder of our top 20 hold 11%. And the next slide, please. And so the investment case for Legend, I've talked about the people. Our technical team has recently been bolstered by Oliver Kitty, who's been 10 years with Creasy Group as exploration manager. Every deal that Creasy's been involved with in the Fraser Range for the last 10 years, Oliver's had his feet under the table. So he absolutely brings a wealth of knowledge to Legend when he joined us a couple of months ago. We've got a very large holding, and that'll come up later in the presentation. Nickel's our commodity. It's the green metal, future-facing commodity, and is no less than BHP's MD talks to this in nearly every public presentation he gives about BHP as a total. We've discussed our cash. You always hear a systematic approach from Legend going forward. And if you look at the graph on the right-hand side there, you can see where our exploration success has been the value driver, taking us from a 20 million market cap when we started this project in 2015 to where we are today. Next slide, please. Where our project is, 300 kilometres east of Kalgoorlie. I think the key takeaway from this slide is the infrastructure access with the transport corridor of the Trans-Australia Railway line running right through the southern part of our tenements. Next slide, please. The story slide, the left-hand map is the Fraser Zone. The Canadians identified this in the 1960s, analogous to the Thompson Belt, 2.7 million tonnes of nickel in Thompson, 300,000 tonnes only here. And Legend holds this dominant land position where we occupy nearly 100% of that central gravity high. Next slide, please. About our regional work programs, you can see the regional prospects, $4 million planned expenditure across the year. I think Hurley's the highlight one there, where we've got an air core program going at the moment. And it's really a process of moving loop and then air core to give us our targets for the deeper drilling. Next slide, please. This is now a video covering in the early part some of the things that I've already discussed. The location where we are east of Kalgoorlie, you can see the size. So this really is a scale play. We've got that dominant land position with the Trans-Australian Railway line, the 3,000 square kilometres. Mawson's our leading prospect. The other ones, Magnus, Octagonal, Shackleton, Worsley, Hurley and Crean, all in the pipeline for future work. Very important to look at this eastern mag, see how different it is from the tram track mag on the western side. Now zooming into Mawson. This is an intrusive complex, an axis of 16 kilometres by 6. It's interpreted as a cluster of intrusives. And as we zoom into this mag, you can see all of those holes in that mag interp is the interpreted intrusives. Back into the horizontal slicing of that mag, you can see some highs amongst the lows, but again, the main lows are those intrusives. This footprint here is where we did our 50 by 50 detailed gravity. And it's this inversion model of this 3D gravity, which has actually started to put some scale around this Mawson intrusion, which is the central one in that complex. You can see the air core drilling with the footprints of anomalous air core, eastern and western, where that sits in this 3D inversion model. And I think it's really important to understand that we really only have scratched the surface of investigating what is this modelled denser ore body. Not an ore body, I beg your pardon, a modern, a big, massive, high gravity rock. A couple of the holes that have given us the massive nickel copper. You can see how that gravity inversion model fits in the mag, the footprint, the geological map of this southern Mawson area. And now as we zoom back out of here, again, you start to get an idea of this scale of that Mawson intrusive complex, and all within 3,000 square K of the total project area. So I think you can tell from that we've got plenty of work to go on with. Again, the geological map just showing where our drilling's been, some of the successes we've had. And the next slide, please. One of our most recent successes is hole 23, which has got that 12.9 metres of massive. Assays are awaited for this. It's within a 90-metre mineralised intercept, and the structural observations point to a remobilised mineralisation. So what we're saying is there's something big that's close, and that's what we're looking for. And the next slide, please, which talks to our recently announced off-hole conductors. And I think the key takeaway here, when we drilled hole 7 last year and did the downhole EM in that, the downhole in a 14-metre zone of 1% nickel and 0.75% copper gave a Siemens reading of 1250 to 2000 Siemens. The off-hole conductor, which was 6,000 to 8,000 Siemens, was drilled in March this year, which gave us amongst our 25 metres of massive, plus another 16 metres of semi-massive and heavy disseminated. So you can see that this conductor off hole 26 is really quite exciting. The next slide, please. And so the off hole from 25 is a much stronger conductor. It's interpreted as a vertical body that's 90 metres of mineralisation in 25, and the model suggests a strike of 80 metres. These are the two targets which will be the focus of our next drilling. Next slide. A quick work program, and on to another. Next slide, please. And just the summary. I hope you've heard a story of a very prospective project, a dedicated team, and plenty to look forward to in the future, especially those next two diamond holes, which are about to be collared today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I love that animation. I think one of the challenges for a mining company is to kind of educate the audience, and I think that animation did a great job. Thank you. Just a quick question here. When will Legend schedule a more aggressive drilling schedule at Mawson? And what is the drilling strategy to get more rigs on site and get the project moving faster?
Tim, we're frequently asked that question. And, you know, look to my expenditure slides of 12 million total across a year. To go out there and just drill willy-nilly without focused targeting, I liken it to just pulling the plug out of your bathwater. And our funds would just dissipate into the sands of the Fraser Range, and everyone would then say, well, why did you spend the money so quick? You know, we've got a diamond rig going, we've got an RC rig, we've got an air core rig regionally. And something that the last presenter talked to in terms of getting people and teams to site to do things, our downhole EM is already 4 weeks behind where our drilling is to date. That downhole EM is fundamental to our next targets. We literally cannot go any quicker than we're going at the moment.
And what do these drills cost? Is it, do companies buy these, or, you know, if there is a restriction in terms of your ability to get them?
Oh, not in Australia, Tim. I've tried that in Africa because of lack of resources.
Yeah.
But I think you would find most MDs would say, if you need a driller, go and find a contractor.
Yeah, right, I see. And the cash you have on your balance sheet, which is, you know, almost 10% of your market cap, is that strictly for drilling and exploration, or is there any plan to return that to shareholders?
Oh, no. Look, we raised $20 million in July this year in a placement managed by Euros and Canaccord. I consider for a company with a market cap of $350 million, that's an appropriate cash balance, given that we're spending at the rate of 12 million a year.
Understood. And is there any M&A sort of opportunities in the market for you, given how well capitalised you are and with such a, you know, strong shareholder base?
Look, there's a lot of rumour about M&A in the nickel space, Tim, not just Legend. And I think the best speculation I can give is I think there needs to be one card to fall first. And once that card falls across the nickel space, I think it would be very interesting to see what happens after that.
And what is your view on the nickel price at the moment?
Look, I think the nickel price is the nickel price. I like to quote Mr. Abraham Lincoln, where he quoted to an advisor that prophecy is a very unreliable profession.